All right, Texas A&M University Commerce is now East Texas State, East Texas A&M University. It hasn't been that long, and I haven't even figured out the name of my alma mater, but we're going to get there. Good morning. It is truly my pleasure to have the opportunity to greet you on behalf of Grayson College. And what a fitting moment it is to gather, as this year Grayson College celebrates our 60th anniversary, a milestone that reflects 6 decades of commitment to education, workforce development, and community partnership right here in Texoma. For 60 years, we have proudly served as more than an educational institution. We are a committed partner in the economic and workforce success in the region. And events like this one highlight the collaborative spirit that makes Texoma such a vibrant place to live, work, and do business. We know that small businesses are the heart of our local community. They create jobs, spark innovation, and give our communities their unique character. And that's why Grayson College is honored to support entrepreneurs and small business owners, not just through today's summit, but every day through our work with the Small Business Development Center. Over the years, our SBDC has become a true engine of opportunity, providing resources, coaching, and guidance that helps turn ideas into thriving businesses. It's not just about starting businesses, it's about helping them grow, adapt, and succeed for the long term. The success stories that have emerged from our SBDC are a testament to the true grit of entrepreneurs and the power of community partnerships. And speaking of partnerships, Grayson College takes seriously our role in filling the region's talent pipeline. We work hand in hand with local employers to ensure our graduates are prepared with the skills, the mindset, and the adaptability that today's businesses need to grow. Whether it's through our workforce training programs, career technical education, or pathways to university transfer, we're laser focused on student success and employer alignment. That commitment is resonating. I'm proud to share that Grayson College enrollment has seen a 12% increase in enrollment over the last 2 years. That growth reflects the trust of our community that is placed upon us and the hunger for opportunity that exists across our region. Today's summit is about opportunity too. It's about learning from one another, connecting with the resources that can fuel your business journey, and being reminded that you're not in it alone. You have champions, partners, and cheerleaders, many of whom are in this room. So on behalf of Grayson College, thank you for being here. We're proud to stand alongside you as you continue to grow, invest, and dream together for the future of our small businesses and for the future of our community. Our next speaker currently serves as the commissioner representing employers for the Texas Workforce Commission. In his role, Commissioner Joe Esparza serves as an advocate for more than 660,000 Texas employers and over 3 million small businesses. He and his team serve as a key resource for all Texas employers to help businesses grow and thrive in Texas. Prior to his current appointment, Commissioner Esparza served in several key roles in the governor's office, including as Texas Deputy Secretary of the State in 2018. A veteran himself, Commissioner Esparza served in the United States Marine Corps from 1999 to 2007, and is a graduate of Texas Tech University. Please help me welcome Commissioner Joe Esparza to the stage.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Harris. Thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm very excited about all the activity that's here today. It's a good turnout. Mayor, thank you again. Thank you as well for hosting this, and all the sponsors for lunch and for the snacks. I stole a banana for my ride home. But also, it's good to see Ag Commissioner Sid Miller here today. We appreciate always seeing him. He's always smiling. But this is a great opportunity for small businesses here in the state of Texas. As Workforce Commissioner, I do represent employers on the 3-member commission. So the agency is tasked with facilitating and developing the workforce in the state of Texas. You're going to hear a lot about partnerships, and all the booths that you see here basically partners with us and with our economic development organizations to encourage economic growth and to support you, our small businesses. One of the biggest resources and what I want to tell you, hopefully you leave with today, are those resources. They're basically your tax dollars at work. What we provide through the Office of Employers, one of the big initiatives that we have is our employer education when it comes to unemployment insurance. So everybody who's got a business has skin in the game. You pay your taxes, right? Shout out to our tax department there in the back corner. You probably need to go visit them to make sure that you have all the current information that you can about your taxes and what the government takes. But in this case, what we have is unemployment insurance. Our tax attorneys, our unemployment law attorneys that are staffed through our offices are here to help educate you. What we have as a resource, basically it's a resource to you to connect with them and to talk to them, call them up if you have a questions. What I'm talking about is when you onboard an employee, or in the reverse, if you have to separate an employee from your office, whether or not it's fault of whose fault it is or whatever. When it comes to it, the more you know is your ability to avoid that tax burden that could fall you for the next couple of years. That saves you a lot of money. That's money you put into your business and help you grow. We host many events just like this, about 16 to 18 across the state for small, medium, and large metropolitan areas. Usually we'll have one in the North Texas area. I think this year we'll have a 2-day conference in Dallas. That's kind of the big one there. But this is the Texas Conference for Employers. That's something you can Google. You'll find the schedule. The schedule's already set for this year. But this is a full day. We understand that as a small business, you're probably the head of of all your divisions. In some point, you may not have an HR representative that is well versed in the unemployment law rules. So we want to basically provide that to you in small doses. So that you understand the local, state and federal laws when it comes to it. This helps you grow your business. We represent there's over 3 million small businesses all across the state, and the resources that we also provide come in the form of helping you grow your business in the form of grants and training. I can't stress enough that your experience as business owners is where we, as a Texas economy, understand what the industry is doing and how to move people, especially our emerging workforce folks that are coming and graduating high school every year. These are the folks that we're getting into the workforce, and they desperately need good mentorship. They desperately need, first thing first, they need to get a job, whether they're career-oriented, college-ready, or they're getting into the military. It's always good to have that option for those young adults that are leaving high school to get into the talent pipeline. And again, you kind of serve as the main source of experience when it comes to that. We ask that you continue to partner with your Chamber of Commerce, obviously the economic development organizations that you have. That makes up the workforce development system, as well with obviously including our schools and our training providers. So always consider that if there's opportunity for you to serve on those department boards with the local community colleges. I'm always stressing to make sure that we engage your experience in the workforce development system to keep our economy the 8th largest economy in the world. You're going to hear that a lot from our governor's office, and our governor loves to talk about that. It's a big deal, and it is because of our small businesses that make up over 99% of our massive economy that we're doing. So, again, thank you so much. I really consider this a handshake to our office. We have a hotline. If you just Google Texas Workforce Commission Office for Employers, there's a guidebook available, and a lot of this resources will what we provide you at these conferences, but it's already available to you right now. If you have a question, give us a call, or if you're in the process of an appeal or any kind of hearing or you've gotten a notice that somebody wants you to pay employee benefits, give us a call and let us hold your hand through the whole process and make sure that you're on top of it. So we appreciate it. Dr. Harris? I thought you were wrapping up. Oh, I am. No, I am. No, I was going to say, Dr. Harris, you have a question? No, I'm playing. No, so thank you all again. I appreciate it. I'm on our way to present a JET grant, which is part of our job is to provide grants. This JET grant is in Collin County College here in McKinney. These are part of these things where this is money that provides schools the ability to buy equipment that we understand by partnering with you. This is what the industry standards are happening. So this is the equipment that we're installing at community colleges so that kids are training on the stuff that you're using right now. So again, extremely important that we continue to partner, and I appreciate that, and thank y'all for having me.
Look forward to having you on campus with another JET grant. Hey!
Yeah, there you go.
We've been really fortunate in the past. All right, our next speaker is Brian Roller. He joined the Texas Economic Development and Tourism Office as a business assistance specialist in 2022. Prior to his role, Brian spent 3 years as the administrator for the City of League Cities Convention and Visitor Bureau Administrator. Brian has a diverse background in communications, event management, marketing, and sales, having held positions with Convention and Visitors Bureaus, Chambers of Commerce, Collegiate Sports Communication, Healthcare, and Trade Show Development. Brian holds a bachelor's degree in journalism from Stephen F. Austin University. He enjoys studying the art of Texas barbecue, discovering local craft breweries, I can tell you where those are, surveying the live music scene, dabbling in countless hobbies, and traveling with his wife and family.
Thank you. Thank you, for Dr. Harris, for that introduction. Typically, I'm not up here, and I was a print journalism major, so the broadcast side kind of always escaped me. So, as a representative of the Texas Economic Development and Tourism Office, the Office of the Governor, it is my honor to be here in Denison. Today, on behalf of Governor Abbott and our senior leadership, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us for the third of our 15 Governor Small Business Summits. Our office speaks to businesses owners on a daily basis that share their highs and lows, the struggles, and the rewards of business ownership. And we understand the courage and creativity it takes to start and continually grow a business. I myself have gray hair from trying to start a business without knowing about all these resource providers here. We are thankful to live in Texas where that get up and go spirit of tenacity is just a part of our culture. There are so many entrepreneurial and minded individuals like those of you in the room today, folks who had a vision to create something of their own, made sacrifices, remained resilient, and as a result are now not only reaping the rewards of their labor, but also able to give back in a major way, creating jobs so that others can provide for their families and making numerous positive impacts in your own communities and beyond. In fact, small businesses are the backbone of our state's economy here in Texas. Over 99% of businesses in Texas are small businesses, and they employ nearly half of all working Texans. Thanks to the power of our 3.3 million small businesses, Texas has set a record after record for total jobs. We were the #1 state for job creation last year. Made in Texas has never been a more powerful global brand, with small businesses accounting for nearly 92% of all exporting businesses and driving Texas's #1 status as the top exporting state in the nation for the last 23 years in a row. We thank all of our state's small businesses for everything they do to keep our economy strong, and that is why we're here today. Our office is here to support you in this journey, to do what we can by bringing together timely information and relevant resources to help you start, grow, and sustain your business. Today's event has brought together many different groups and individuals to bring this event to fruition, and I'd like to take a moment to thank them. Once again, please help me thank our partners, the Denison Area Chamber of Commerce. We also want to recognize our partners at the Texas Workforce Commission. Without their financial support, we would not be able to bring this type of event to your community. Today's event also would not be possible without the support of local businesses who has stepped up to support this educational event that strengthens other small businesses and this community. Thank you to First United Bank, Freedom Boat Club, Bayless Hall Insurance, First Texoma National Bank, Gaddish Premier Wealth Advisors, and Often Petroleum. I'd also like to recognize some of our team members that are here and that aren't here that have worked to put this event together behind the scenes. David Menchaca Garcia is one of our other small business assistant specialists. He's in the back of the room. He is our permit and licensing specialist in our office. I, most of the time, work with small business questions and putting these these summits together. Those that aren't here are Jarvis Brewer, who is our small business advocate. So one of the things that Jarvis is kind of tasked with is when he's here, he's another event this week. The last couple of weeks was Small Business Week and this Economic Development Week. We are spread all over the place. But as much as we bring these educational sessions to you, listen to our partners here and developing these, we listen to the struggles that you're having, maybe some of the laws of licensing and permitting that you're struggling with, and then we take that back to our senior leadership, and they take it up the ladder. So we like it to be a two-way street. You know, we want to bring you information, the latest and greatest, but we also want to listen to you. Listening, again, is just as important as us giving you information. That was one of the things in working with my Boy Scouts and my two sons is that the key to communication isn't speaking, it's listening. And so we want to be listeners. Last and definitely not least, I want to recognize our resource provider partners, some of them who travel with us across the great state of Texas to serve as a reminder to all of us just how important our work is. Thank you for joining us today. If I get you to turn to the screen for just a few seconds and see the names of the organizations that have joined us. Again, thank you to the resource providers for being here. Governor Abbott, through his economic development office, is committed to keeping Texas the best place to start and run a business. And our office will continue to assist small businesses, which are the foundation of Texas's strong economy. And at this time, please turn your attention to the video screens for a few words from our 48th governor of the great state of Texas, Greg Abbott. We're having a little technical difficulty, so let me see if we can work on this real quick. Just one.
This is Governor Greg Abbott. Welcome to the Governor's Small Business Summit. More than 3.3 million small businesses in our great state are the backbone of the booming Texas economy, employing almost half of all Texans. In fact, more than 99% of Texas businesses are small. Thanks to these small businesses, Texas is the economic blueprint for America's future success. To ensure that Texas is prepared to continue our small business growth, I created the Governor's Small Business Freedom Council. The council helped us to identify ways to remove obstacles for small businesses, strengthen the state's economy, and ensure that Texas remains America's economic leader. Texas is the best state to start a business and is among the nation's leaders in small business growth. Men and women that are willing to take a risk and stake their future on an idea have written the story of Texas. The pioneering spirit that inspired the father of Texas, Stephen F. Austin, still fuels our shared prosperity today. Together, we are all building a stronger and more prosperous Texas for the next generation. May God bless you in your endeavors, and may God forever bless the great state of Texas.
All right, who's ready for
Hi,
some...
this is Governor.
Yes, sir. All right, who's ready for some panel discussions? Yeah, let's get into the meat and potatoes of today. Before I do a little housekeeping, if our moderator and speakers for the first panel will come on up and get situated. Behind me on the screens are the panel sessions and the timeline-ish for today. We will get back on time. Don't you worry. Between each of the sessions, we strongly encourage you to visit with the various state, regional, and local agencies and service providers who have graciously joined us today, and to connect with businesses and entrepreneurs with the resources to assist them with their business journey. Also, please take advantage of the free professional headshots. Has anyone done their headshot yet? I did mine, loads of fun. Make sure that you do that. In today's digital economy, every business owner should have one in their portfolio. Our photographer, videographer, Gray Bug Photography is located in this room right here where the big sign says free headshots. Please make sure you pick up their cards so that you can follow up with them after the event. All right. Are you ready? All right. That is your microphone.
Yes, they actually said I was supposed to stand up here, but I'm actually going to be cozy with my people down here because I'm in a boot, and my doctor has already got mad at me for being up on my feet too much. It's a broken foot. So I'm happy to be here today, and I represent Denison Development Alliance, and as the Economic Development Corporation of the City of Denison, the Denison Development Alliance has the unique opportunity to interact with most of the businesses that come to the City of Denison. And we've interacted with all three of these, and it's been a pleasure to have them be here with us. And interestingly enough, when we do presentations to different groups of people, we always ask them, how long do you think it takes for a business to go from inception to having customers walk through the door or employees walk through the door? And we get really varying answers, but most of the time they're always shocked to learn that it takes years and sometimes many years to get a business up and running. And so at this summit, we're pleased to host the following business leaders and hear their small business journeys, their perspectives, and their insight. And so I have right here Bob Landon with Landon Winery, which was founded in 2005. Bob he expanded into Denison after opening 5 locations throughout Texas, and he has a really interesting project that he's doing on the Texas-Oklahoma border that I hope he talks about later. We also have Kristan Brittan, and she has 7 Hay Sugar stores throughout Texas. She has one in Denison, and that's how we kind of came to know her and her father, Patrick Melvin. And so I'm excited to get to have you hear about her journey and how she actually opened a new business as part of kind of like a offshoot of her present business and what's coming to downtown Denison. It's really exciting. And then we have Rob Meadows, and he is a franchisee for Chick-fil-A. And so he opened his Chick-fil-A here in Denison in August of 2022. He already had a store in Sherman. And so I'm excited to hear about his perspective from the perspective of a franchisee. And so I think we should give them a round of applause for being here because they're very busy. And so we're grateful to have them today. And so just by way of introduction, I was thinking that maybe you each could tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, why you chose Denison, maybe a fun fact about yourself, and when you think that you became an entrepreneur. like when you got that entrepreneurial spirit?
So I guess I'll go first. So Bob Landon, my wife and I own Landon Winery, and we have 8 wineries now, and 2 breweries and a distillery. Wow. So heavily into the alcohol. And my fun fact for today is my birthday.
Aw, happy birthday.
Happy
Isn't
birthday!
that nice? Spending it with you nice people up here while my wife is having a colonoscopy. I'm sure she's going to be really glad that I told 250 people about that. But no, I started making wine. The fun fact, actually, I started making wine when I was 12 years old. And my father, as some of you know, is a Southern Baptist preacher, so there's a whole story around that as well. And what was the other thing you asked?
When you thought, well, when you began to have that entrepreneurial spirit?
I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I was in the corporate world. I'm extremely conservative. I have a lot of money issues. If my wife was here, she would say that's true. We've always underspent our income. I don't like being poor. So when a couple of my brothers decided to become entrepreneurs, I thought they were crazy. I was in the corporate world. I made a lot of money. As long as I didn't screw up and get fired, I knew I was going to be okay. And I saw my brothers struggle trying to make payroll, and they owned their own businesses for years. And I thought, it's just, entrepreneurs are crazy, right? There's so much stress on them. And then, of course, 20 years ago, I left the corporate world, and now I love it. I would never go back. Well, I'm 66 today, so I can't go back at this point.
Okay,
Happy birthday, Bob.
You're funny.
I'm Kristan Brittan. I'm the founder and owner of Hey Sugar Candy Stores. We have 7 locations in Texas and Oklahoma. And then I'm also the owner of a manufacturing facility for ice cream. It's called TX Creamery. We're in Central Market, Brookshire's, Sam's Club now. We've outgrown our facility in South Lake, so we're actually moving it to Denison. And we're in that long process, as she spoke of building that factory out right now across from City Hall. We're super excited about this opportunity to be here, and we really love the community here. So fun fact, even though I own candy and ice cream stores, I'm actually a yoga teacher, and I'm very into health and wellness, and I host a yoga retreat in Guatemala every year. It's mission work and yoga. And entrepreneur, opposite of him, I had no desire to be in corporate America. Straight out of college, I was working at a law firm. I was going to go to law school, decided it wasn't for me, so I started my own business. So I had a staffing company at 22 years old in Denver, hired all my girlfriends to work for me. It was successful. It was really good. And as a child, my dad was in the candy distribution business, and I would sell all his samples at school and on the weekends out of our garage when they weren't home. So I've been an entrepreneur. Yeah, it was literally, what do you want? What do you want? I got in a lot of trouble at school for that. But anyway, yes, I think that entrepreneurial spirit's always been in me. And yeah, I love creating businesses and starting new things. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah.
Rob Meadows. I'm the franchise owner of the Chick-fil-A in Sherman and the Chick-fil-A in Denison. My wife and I have been married 33 years. I guess a fun fact for me is I grew up in Van Alstyne, so I've been as part of the world my whole life. And I started my first business at 15. It was a hay hauling business. My buddy and I actually at one point we bought a tractor and a hay rake and a hay baler, and we did that at 15 years of age. Then after I graduated from Dallas Baptist University, I spent my first 17 years in the corporate world. And then Chick-fil-A just really came to me as a godsend and was something I wasn't even looking for. But I'm very, very appreciative to be here today.
Wonderful. So I'm curious how long it took you to get your business concept from inception to your first day of operations at your Denison location. And maybe along with that, what was your preparation? How did you interact with city or government? And what did you expect or not expect in that process?
Same order? Me?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very specific question. So around Denison, how long did it take from inception, the idea of going to Denison? Tony Kai will tell you it was 14 years ago. So 14 years ago, I chose the building I wanted. I'm a planner. I have buildings across not just Texas, but other states where I know I want to expand to. I do a lot of research. I'm a planner. Like I said, I don't want to be poor. So I really overthink things. But I knew it was too soon. 14 years ago, it was too soon to go to Denison, but I knew the world was heading this way. I don't know where, somewhere along the line, somebody said something that stuck in my head, and it was, you make money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell, so you want to get ahead of the wave. Don't get there after it's already built out. And so Tony never gave up. He would call me every year, and we would talk, and I'd come up, and I'd look, and the building I have today is the building that I chose, right? Actually, Don's probably not here, he's the one who bought it, and texted me. I was down at Austin, and he said, hey, I bought a building, and I heard you might be interested. I'm like, he said, I'll lease it to you. I said, no. I want to buy that building. So he sold it. He owned it for like 2 weeks and made a bunch of money off me. But I got the building I wanted. But it was 14 years in the making, 12 years until the time that I bought it, and then a year to build it out, to open the business. And then you asked about the city. I was telling some people earlier, I love the city of Denison. Since I'm heavily regulated because I produce alcohol for a living, so federal government, state government, TABC, police, everybody, I've learned you want to be honest with them. Don't lie, right? Don't mislead them because then they'll never trust you. So, and I found, and I'm not just saying this, Mr. Mayor, and I know the city manager's here, but City of Denison was really great to work with. Seriously, the inspectors, everybody, it was good because I have worked with the city of Dallas. I wouldn't be able to say that if I was there. So.
And was there anything that you expected or didn't expect in that process, or were you you're a planner, so you knew?
Well, I've redone enough old buildings that I kind of knew what was going to happen. I knew I'd have to put a sprinkler system in. You got to dig up the street, and there's always delays, so you kind of anticipate that. What I didn't anticipate was the building I bought, which I love. If you haven't seen it, you should go. We open at noon. You should go look at it. It's beautiful. I spent a lot more money on that building than I'd planned because it was built in 1888. And when we redid the original tin ceilings and the floors, we pulled up the carpet and there was tile under that, and we found the original floors from 1888. I know that because I had to put some plumbing in. On the bottom of the boards are stamped the date, 1888, the forest they came from. It's so unexpected. Kind of expected because it's an old building, you never know what you're going to find, but we restored it. We took the walls all the way back to the original brick. There were 3 layers of walls. When we finally got to the final wall, it wasn't brick, it was concrete, and I took a hammer and I finally beat on enough that it fell off and I saw there was brick. So I hired a guy, 17-foot tall ceilings, and I said, can you take this off? He goes, how much? I said, all of it. All the way around, 17 feet up. And so if you go in there, you can see it turned out really nice, but you never know what you're going to find, so just be prepared and be nice to the city.
So I have a similar story to Bob, actually. Denison's been on my radar 10 years, and I felt the same way you did. It's not there yet, it's not ready yet, but I really like this area, and I knew the growth was coming this way. And like Bob, we're in a lot of different cities, and I've worked with a lot of different cities. I was scouting out locations in Oklahoma, and I was with my father, and I was like, hey, let's just kind of cruise through Denison and see what's happening. And I hadn't been here in years. And I drove down Main Street, and I was like, wow, there's growth coming here, and it's already happening, and I want to get in on the ground floor. So that day, I found a location that I thought was perfect for Hey Sugar. Tommy was the listing agent on it. I called her right then and there, did a handshake deal. I wanted to buy the building like you. I didn't get that opportunity, but we ended up doing a deal that day, opened within a year. We have this down to a science on opening our retail stores. So we were able to open within a year. I met everybody in the city that day. I mean, she took me over to the city offices. I met everybody, fell in love with this town, and working with a lot of different cities as I do and you do. And I found it to be such a welcoming, encouraging city. I mean, they wanted us here. We wanted to be here. It was just, everything was easy. And you can't always say that about a lot of cities. So when I decided to move my manufacturing facility from South Lake to here, I mean, everybody was offering us anything and everything. We have grants, we have this, what can we do to make this city work for you? And we were looking, not to mention any names, but at 3 other towns that were really wooing us, and we chose here. So as far as this build out goes, same kind of deal. We're in an older building. It's been a lot, But from inception to when we're going to open at the end of the year, it'll be about a year and a half. But we're really changing how we're running our facility. So right now, everything's hand done. It's very artisanal. So our facility here is going to be, everything is going to be automated. And we're going to have a tasting room, and you can watch all the ice cream being made. So we're taking it to a whole nother level, so it's a learning curve for us as well. So it's taken us a little bit longer than what it normally would, but again, the city's fabulous and has been so easy to work with, and we're grateful to be here. Yeah.
Anything you didn't expect?
Other than construction issues, yeah, no, nothing. It's been quite easy. Yeah, seamless.
All right.
As a franchise owner, it's probably a little bit different. Obviously, we opened our first Chick-fil-A location in Sherman, and if any of you've been there, it's kind of like the tollway on a postage stamp. We serve about 5,000 customers there a day at that location, and so we knew that there was going to be an immediate need. The very first time I was able to have a constructive conversation with Chick-fil-A corporate about a second location for Denison was in 2018. So it was quite a few years even from that conception. We originally targeted late 2020, and then what happened in 2020 was COVID, and nobody expected that. So that was my unexpected event and delayed us a couple of years until our 2022 opening. But obviously I grew up in the area. I spent most of my childhood working on a farm. If we were going to go to the big city, we went to Sherman, Denison to get a gallon of milk. That was a big city for us, and because I grew up on a farm handling cattle. But just love this part of the world. Great friends with Robert, and he eats at our Chick-fil-A Denison location all the time. He's a great spokesman for us, and so we love the city. We love the community. We were already so invested even in our time in Sherman. We already served the majority of the schools up here, churches, businesses. 48% of our zip code customer in 2018 was coming from Denison. And so I would have been here sooner, but Chick-fil-A was the one who said, hey, you need to wait a little bit. And but they also told me my Chick-fil-A in Sherman probably wouldn't have enough customers to succeed. So, we proved them wrong on that. So we love this part of the world, and it's a great place to do business.
So Rob, is it hard to get a franchise from Chick-fil-A? And maybe talk us through that process.
They'll tell you it's easier to get into the CIA than it is to own a Chick-fil-A.
That's probably true.
The percentages are actually greater if you apply to get into the CIA than it is to be a Chick-fil-A owner. The year that I applied in 2002, I know they had roughly 60,000 applications for 5 locations. And so it is extremely arduous. It was a year process for me. I tell people the first application I got when I filled it in, it was almost 60 pages, my application. Chick-fil-A does not do anything halfway. They're very committed, and Mr. Cathy passed away in 2015, and he was the founder and was just a man of God and of great faith, and someone that I was able to do a handshake business with. And when you have people who've gone before you like that, who've established such history and put, you have to remember when I came into Chick-fil-A wasn't even $1 billion company. Now the Dallas-Fort Worth market is $1 billion market. I don't know if you can let that sink in for a second. But the growth that Chick-fil-A has had has just been incredible, even since my time joining, and it's just a great company to work with. But it's very, very difficult to become a franchise owner. I tell people it's either divine or it's not. That's just how it works.
So I actually am curious too. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What set you apart that they chose you to
It's
be
divine
one of
or it's not.
You just prayed about it?
It was just. It was a spiritual journey for us. Like I think most things in life are a spiritual journey, even with your business. How you raise your kids. I've been a member of my church for a long time. I've been teaching a Bible fellowship class for 38 years, and I even teach my kids now. My kids we're becoming empty nesters, and I try to teach them everything's a spiritual decision. Buying a car, what you're going to do, where you're going to work, how you represent yourself in life. And Chick-fil-A just models so much of that. And I was drawn to their values. I tell people the very first day I ever worked in a restaurant was the day I owned it. Don't do that. That is not the way to do it. Not a good way to do it. But God has just blessed it. the busiest restaurant day of the week is Sundays, and we're closed on Sundays. And so appreciate those values. We want to model those values. We want to be good members of the community. And it's just, so it's very difficult to become a Chick-fil-A owner, but it's not impossible because they let me in. So.
Was it easier to get the second franchise
No,
location?
it's actually harder to get the second one than it is the first one. It's hard to explain. I mean, the standards are just incredibly high for performance, and to have two is even honestly more impressive than just having one. And so, because then you have a history with them. You have a history, and it's a great partnership. I don't want them to make them sound. They just have very high expectations for food, for service, for the people that we hire. For my involvement, that's one thing about a business owner. Someone was asking me in the back about a different kind of franchise, and I'm like, well, every franchise has its different regulations, but Chick-fil-A, they don't expect you to be an investor, they expect you to be an owner. They want you to be engaged with the business. So I have roughly 160 employees between both locations. And, I know when you come through, it doesn't seem like, well, at one time, even our Sherman location, somebody asked me in the back room, we'll have 40 to 45 people working at lunchtime just on one shift, trying to run 200 cars an hour through the drive-through or 500 customers an hour through the restaurant. So when you think your mobile order takes 45 seconds, I'll tell you a funny story. Can't tell a funny story? So a lady came in recently, and I was at the front counter in Sherman, and she's like, literally, she had walked in the door and been there 10 seconds. And she's like, my mobile order isn't ready? And I looked up on the screen, and I said, ma'am, you're number 53 in the queue. And so with a mobile order, I know you always think you're the only person doing mobile order, but she was number 53. But by the time I finished my conversation with her, her food came up. And she was like, you put out 52 orders before my order just came out? And I said, yes, ma'am, we did. And she was so flabbergasted because she thought she was one of one. So one, thank you for your patience. There's a little bit of an understanding of what we do, but working with Chick-fil-A is just a blessing, and having had a history with someone like Mr. Cathy, who honestly, I could tell so many stories about him, just his heart of generosity. And that's how we want to, I think we talking that we can serve Christ by serving others. And so that's that model. Even in Scripture says that Jesus himself didn't come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. And anytime I have an interview with any of our employees, I speak that Scripture into their life and say, that has to be your heart and mindset to work here.
Wonderful. Nice. Wonderful. Thank you. All right, so I want to know your biggest challenge, either in the creation of your business or right now running your business. What is your biggest challenge, and how have you overcome it or are overcoming it?
Me again?
Sure.
I don't want to follow him.
I know.
Oh my gosh. In creating the business, I would say it's what you don't know. When you first start a business, I'd always worked in the corporate world. And my first job was bucking bales on a farm. Hardest job I ever had in my life. I did it one summer. My mom made me do it. No, that's a hard job. It's what you don't know, right? When you're starting a business and all of a sudden you get a letter from the state saying you didn't sign up for your whatever permit. And it's a challenge. But what I want to talk about is, so we've been in business 20 years. Including the first year, we've never lost money because my wife says you can do whatever you want. My wife doesn't drink alcohol. She's not against it because we're both CPAs, MBAs, and so I put the business in her name because there's benefits of having a woman-owned business, even if she doesn't drink. And she said, you can do whatever you want as long as you make money. So we've been in the business 20 years, never lost money in any of those years, including the first year. And the biggest challenge is right now. And we don't have a lot of younger people in here, but I like to say that younger people aren't doing their part on drinking alcohol. So younger generation is abstaining, right? They're not drinking alcohol. They are doing either no alcohol or they're doing alternatives, a lot of substitute goods out there. And so I'm a planner in the corporate world. I don't know, somewhere along the line, I was never in the military. My dad was in the military. And I learned that you try to anticipate anything that can happen in your business. Write it down, come up with, if this happens, what are you going to do? So that when it happens, you aren't sitting around in a panic. And you just pull out your folder and say, okay, this is happening. Here's what we already thought through and we implemented. I had a pandemic plan. Can you believe that?
before
And-
the pandemic.
Yeah, and I pulled it
Oh,
out.
wow.
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, guys, we're not going to panic. Yes, 90% of you, obviously, you're not going to have to, be gone. But it's like, right?
Don't panic that you're
I back paid everyone with the PPP money, all of it. All my employees I let go, I back paid them all. So for us, it's substitute goods right now. It is, I don't know if you guys have been checking this out, but there's kava. I don't know if you may have ever done kava.
Yeah.
You got kava, you got kratom, you've got functional mushrooms, not psychedelics. We don't do any of that kind of stuff. But it's fascinating to see what the substitutes are and what people are doing. And we saw for the first time ever in our business is still growing only because I'm adding locations, but same-store sales were down for the first time for Landon Winery last year. The wine industry started going down a couple of years ago. We continued to grow, I think, because of our strategy and our locations. But that didn't send me into a panic because we've been looking at substitutes and what people are doing. So our biggest challenge right now is figuring out what are we? Like, I tell the story to my direct reports all the time about the buggy whip company, right? MBA. You learn that in your MBA course. It's, you don't want to be the buggy whip company. There are no buggy whip companies anymore because they saw themselves as making buggy whips. So there's a great picture of downtown New York in 1910 and the same picture in 1920, 10 years later. In 1910, there were no cars. 1920, there were 30 cars for every one horse. You couldn't give horses away. The people that were in charge of scooping up the poop, they were out of a job, right? So people that saw themselves in the buggy whip or making buggies and not in the transportation business went out of business, right? You have to shift. And so what we're looking at is making sure that we're not the buggy whip company because I have to make money. So we are making sure that we understand, are we in the entertainment business? What are we doing? And what's fascinating is what's impacting that is also, I'd love to hear from you, is GLP-1s, right? So these, right?
Yeah.
The sugar. So I'm also into health as well, which is funny. And so people are doing the shots, and it makes them not want to eat, but also not do sugar, but also that includes alcohol. Everything goes down, all consumption. The economy is impacting us. So when you had inflation a couple of years ago when the government spent a bunch of money and we had a bunch of inflation, incomes didn't rise as much, and so the middle class got squeezed. Unfortunately, alcohol is not a necessity. Some people would argue that, but it's not a necessity. So when the economy
Chick-fil-A
struggles,
is, by the
right?
Chick-fil-A
is a necessity. And so people pull back on their spending, and they're going to pull back on things that aren't required. And so it's been an interesting challenge right now, but we're working our way through it. And so I'd say that's what it is. But since we're very big into planning, we're trying to implement strategies to offset that.
Yeah, my story's a little bit similar as well. During COVID, owning retail stores, I had 8 at the time, being shut down, obviously, I'm like, now what am I gonna do? So I had to pivot as well and come up with another idea to survive, because I don't like being poor either. And so I realized that the food industry was still doing extremely well, and grocery stores were the ones making the most money during COVID. So we actually started our ice cream manufacturing facility during COVID, started creating all our own recipes because I didn't want to let go of all my management team. So I gave them a new job, and we got in the ice cream business. We were previously buying our ice cream from somebody else. So that, we had a couple of years, obviously, to perfect it during COVID. And we were really blessed. In the very beginning, Central Market picked up our ice cream brand. And they actually helped us brand it, market it, et cetera, because they were looking for a Texas-based company to carry in their stores. So it was a God thing as well, and it was just a complete blessing that Central Market picked us up. And then it took off from there. So being able to pivot, like you were saying, when things are changing and times are changing, and I agree with you on the GLP-1s, and we have to address that as well. And that's why we are focusing so much now on the ice cream manufacturing business. We're kind of keeping our retail stores where they are. We're not opening any more of those right now, and we're putting all our energy into the ice cream because ice cream's been around for 100 years, and it's still a treat that people really aren't giving up. It's not something.
Sugar-free?
We do vegan. We don't do sugar-free, though. No, we probably should get into that business as well. Yeah. So just mainly learning and knowing when to pivot when you need to, because your industry's changing. That's been our biggest lesson.
Right.
Just
Do
for
you have
full
any-
disclosure, our ice cream is not sugar-free, so you've been warned. So that's why it's called ice stream, right? So I think our biggest challenge always is just finding the right people. The crazy thing for me is now we opened in early 2004 in Sherman, and I've got some people who work for me still who opened with me my first restaurant in 2004. And so many people come to us and they don't think they can make a career in our industry. And we try to show them a path, a career path, where they can go from team member to area leader to a shift leader to a director. And we try to show people that there's a path of business acumen, of being able to serve others, of being able to understand how to work within a community. And we try to offer, and so our biggest challenge is always finding people who have a heart to serve, especially in our world today with young people who are consumed with the phone, to be able to put down a phone and actually talk to a customer, look them in the eye. I have parents come to me all the time and said, I can't do anything with my kid, can you? And can you teach them how to look somebody in the eye? And those are things, whether you're 17 or 70, there's life skills that you need to be able to do to be able to serve a customer and meet a customer at their point of need. And our biggest point that we talk about all the time is it does no good to have knowledge about something if you don't care about people. And our job truly is to try to implement care for people. We say all the time, this may sound like an oxymoron, but we want the best part of somebody's day sitting in our line to be the best part of their day, either in how someone greets them or a smile that they see, or we can offer just a heartfelt thank you for coming by and being our customer. And so finding people who have that heart, it can be very, very difficult.
Have you had, Kristan and Bob, have you had problems finding workforce or people, employees?
Oh, it's a constant battle. Yeah, definitely. But you know what we learned in the very beginning, we were hiring just, oh, she has a good personality, let's hire her. Oh, she's my neighbor's daughter, let's hire her. And there was no intentionality in who we were hiring.
Yeah.
And what we've learned over time, our turnover was quite high during that time. And we kind of got it down to a science finally. And we took our top managers and we looked at their personality profiles and what made them so special and why were they with us so long, and the retention was so good. And so we started copying what they were and only hiring what they were. So we started administering personality tests and being very intentional in our hiring practices, and that has helped tremendously. And our turnover, like you, I've had people who still are with me since day one, and our turnover is a lot less now. But I mean, it's hard in this day and age. It's quite hard. Yeah, it's a struggle. And it helps being in small towns like Denison, where, it's very different, my hiring practices here, than in Dallas or in a bigger city. Kids just are raised with manners out here, and it's a different mentality. There's a lot of God out here, and it's very different. And that's the reason, actually, one of the big reasons we brought the ice cream factory here. We knew we could hire good people out here. And with Grayson College here and a culinary school, we knew we had a lot of resources as well. So yes, it is a struggle, but we've figured it out. Yeah.
For you, Bob?
I'm going to give a plug for Chick-fil-A. It's true, when I go to Chick-fil-A, they are always really nice.
Good.
When you go to other places, it's not the same.
I actually tell my employees I'm like, pay attention to how they do it. At Chick-fil-A, you're the example I use, because you guys do it right.
I want to say
Yeah.
one thing. Even you were talking about your interview process. Even for like a part-time high school teenager, we'll take them through 3 interviews. Yeah, and that just you want to see, can they be on time? You want to see how they dress. You want to see how they speak. Even for a young high school student, we're already trying to cater and teach them the responsibility, the weight of the responsibility they have if they represent us to the customer. Because when the customer comes to the window, they don't care if you've been there 10 minutes or 10 years. They want the service. There's an expectation. They want the brand. They want great food. And so we really spend a lot of time up front with our people trying to make sure when they're at that moment, are we always perfect? Y'all know we're not perfect at all, but those are the things that we work on every day. Somebody asked me recently, they were asking me some financial numbers, and I'm like, I don't even talk to my people about the financial numbers. I talk to them about service. I talk to them about execution. I talk to them about process. great food and great people and great service, and all those other things, the financials will take care of themselves if you keep the main thing the main thing.
And I'm going to add to what you said is we used to hire based off their knowledge of wine, and we found that's not the best way to hire. I can teach people about wine as long as they have an interest in it, but you've got to get the right personality, because I give a speech once a year. We have an all-hands meeting once a year, and I tell them, when someone comes into the winery and they want to learn about wine, you're the only person they'll probably ever meet. They'll never meet Bob Landon. They're never going to meet my head winemaker, my winemaking team. They're never going to go to the vineyard. They're never going to know the people that chose the bottles or made the bottles. There's 100 people behind that one person. You represent the whole company. So choosing them is very, very important. So, yeah.
True. So tell us, if at any point did you fail, or did you feel like you had failed in this business process, or did you have a mentor that helped you through that? And if you did have a mentor, who was it, and how did they help?
I'll go first. So make sure somebody tells my wife I said this. She is by far my biggest fan. At least we're married and we have 3 children, and without her support, there's no way this business could succeed. And then for me, having a supportive spouse is very, very important. As far as a mentor, so Gabe Parker, he passed away. He's from Denison. A lot of people know him from Homestead Winery. Gabe and I go back years. And when I first got into this business, actually before I even got into this business, I spent a lot of time in interviewing. I think you'll probably ask this question later, but going and learning about the business, because I have a lot of fears, right? I made a lot of money in the corporate world. I was nervous about starting my own business. And so I went out and interviewed. I would sit with him. I don't know if you guys have ever been to his old tasting room, which was the one-room schoolhouse. Remember the old one-room schoolhouse up there and up by Telephone? What's the town that Gabe Parker's from? Help me out. Anyway, it's a little bitty town. It's just got a post office. And
Telephone's pretty small.
Telephone's pretty small. Yeah, they're all small up there. And he bought the old one-room schoolhouse and made that his tasting room, and he had a rocking chair. It was his rocking chair. I wasn't allowed to sit in it. He would sit in the rocking chair, and I'd sit on the stool, and I would just absorb, because he'd been in the business 20 years before I got into it. He'd seen the ups and downs, and he and I ran our businesses differently, but his knowledge that he had. So I would say Gabe Parker, and I miss him. He died this last year. But having somebody like that you can go to, and I found in this business, at least in the wine business, there are 1,000 wineries now in the state of Texas. Well, 8 are Landon, but there are 1,000 wineries in the state of Texas, and almost all of the owners are very willing to sit down and talk about their struggles, what they've done well, what they haven't done well, and so I take advantage of that.
So I would say, gosh, it's fearful being an entrepreneur and growing a company and putting yourself out there and expanding and whatnot. And my financial advisor has just been a godsend to me. Dodie Crockett is her name. And I was kind of stagnating there for a while, and she's like, you need to hire a new higher level manager that can get you to the next level. And I was really close to the manager I currently had, and I just was scared to bring in that next person at that high level to help me grow to that next level. And she pushed me, and I brought in Jeff, who's now the president of my company, who came from Walmart and has the history and the background that I needed to assist me in getting the company to the next level. And she's been there for the past couple of years, just kind of pushing me and getting me not to be afraid of taking those risks and moving on to the next level. So very grateful for her. And without Jeff, we wouldn't even be where we are right now in opening this facility in Denison. I couldn't have done it on my own, so very grateful to him.
For me, it was, with Chick-fil-A being a franchise owner, sometimes you're kind of just, for us, you just start out working and you just are trying to figure it out. And, but one thing I learned in the corporate world is surround yourself with really good people. And that's what I would encourage you to do, whether it's financial people, if it's tax people, if it's legal people, surround yourself with really good people. I was able to reach out to some other Chick-fil-A owners who had done it and built some great people that I'm still great friends with today. So you had some business knowledge, but in our life too, I think it's a biblical principle that, everybody needs an Apostle Paul. You need somebody who can speak truth into your life. You need somebody who can be a mentor and a guide, and somebody who can can teach you along the way. Everybody also needs a Barnabas who's an encourager. You need somebody who can surround you and encourage you and be a cheerleader and say they're in it for you, whether it's a spouse or your kids or even just a coworker. And then everybody needs a Stephen. You should be pouring yourself into someone else as well, bringing along. And that's where I feel like most of my influence now is bringing along the next generation of people, of either trying to help them achieve their dreams or achieve their goals, whether it's help them through college or funding for whatever, a car or those kind of things, whatever it might be. We really try to help people ascertain to their dreams, but surrounding yourself with really good people of integrity, people who will tell you the truth, people who will speak truth into your life is critical in this. If you own your own business.
It's wonderful. And I think probably now you all could mentor others in what you do. And so what do you think is maybe the best piece of advice you could give to other people that are just starting out their small business or are just opening their doors? What's the best advice? And it could be several pieces of advice, but what do you think the best advice you could give?
So I'm going to add to what you guys said, and that is when you start a business, a lot of people that I know that start businesses started without talking to other people. That's just not me. And they are really good at making cookies, and so their friends say you should start a cookie business, or they're really good at doing whatever. And they don't realize that running a business involves legal, accounting, and you should surround yourself, hire people to your weaknesses. I've been on boards of other wineries because there's a great statistic out there that 95% of the wineries in the United States have never had a year in their history where they made money.
Wow.
We have never lost money. So when you meet wineries, just realize there's probably just some really wealthy person behind that just wanted to own a winery. So I get put on boards of other wineries to help them figure out how to make money. And I go on these boards and you find somebody that's great at making wine, but they have no idea how to run a business, right? Or they made some legal mistakes because they didn't get the legal person in there. So hire to your weaknesses is one of the things I'd say. And then I'm a planner. Plan. I have a lot of, I said earlier, I have a lot of money issues. And so my wife and I saved a lot of money. We've always lived on our income and drove, used cars and all that kind of stuff. And so when I started a business, I made sure I had enough money in the bank that if I failed, and starting a winery is fairly expensive, and I was son of the Baptist preacher's kid, and they were missionaries, so he wasn't a TV preacher. My parents had no money. So, I paid my college debt and loans back, and make sure you have enough money to live off of, because for us, it was 5 years before I was able to take any money out of the business. So a lot of people get into this and just, I'm a financial planner, right? Thinking through money-wise. Just plan, talk to people. That's what I would do. The only experience I have is my experience, and that's what I did.
It sounds like we've all had the same experience, though, so I agree with you, and everything you're saying is so true and accurate. Just to add to that, there's a lot of resources out there that I don't know if people really realize. A lot of resources. The city offers a lot of incentives and tax abatements, and you just got to ask. You just got to go find it and ask and see what these, whatever city you're going into or town, see what they're willing to offer to bring your business there, and utilize all those resources and utilize the SBA. But I will agree with you on just because you can make good cookies doesn't mean you can run a cookie business. You need to surround yourself with very knowledgeable people that can assist you and tell you the truth and be honest with you.
Yeah, I think have the right motives when you approach this. I talk to people all the time who are like, well, I hate my other job, so I want to do this, or I want all this freedom so I can travel. And I'm like, you need to just wake up, my man.
7 days a week.
Yeah, if you're not prepared to work 100 hours probably for the first 5 years of your business, 100 to 120 hours a week, then don't do it. People, you have to really have the right motivation. You've really got to be honest with yourself. And when people come to me, I'll say, I want you to do a budget. I want you to do your income and what you think all your expenses will be. And sometimes they'll come back and they show all this income and they show like 2 line items of expenses, and I'm like, add 50 more line items of expenses, and you might be part of the way there on what an operating profit and loss statement might look like for you. So you just really approach it with the right heart and with the right motivation, and really with wide eyes and clear eyes of knowing what you're getting into. It can be incredibly rewarding, but it's a long journey to get there.
And besides your like CPAs and attorneys, what are some of the other resources that you went to? I know that Kristan mentioned going to the cities for incentives, but were there any other resources or places that you went to help?
This is perfect. I'm putting a plug in for the tourism guy that was here, because wineries are tourism, right? And by the way, I love, I was going to tell you this in private, but that people are going to be able to watch the ice cream be made. Because they want to see the process, right? What's the donut company that you can watch the donuts
Krispy
being?
Kreme.
Krispy Kreme, right? Krispy Kreme. Or Landon Winery, even though we don't make wine every day. But people love that.
They want experience.
And that's what you're building in Denison, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a
Yeah.
great concept, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So any other resources that you used? And okay, well, I know that we have to allow for question and answers. So if you all have any questions for our small business owners, please, I think there's some mics there, so any questions you have for our panel up here, you're welcome to ask. Oh,
It's interesting. 'Cause we're also
Did we run everybody off?
Yeah.
I am not concerned.
I saw
no one's ever
William
started
down there
business,
shaking
yeah.
his head. I think he had a question. He's right
so
by.
funny.
No questions?
Wow.
All right, well, thanks, and thank you,
Yeah,
Bob,
thank you,
Kristan,
guys.
and
Yeah,
Rob
thank you.
for being our panel today.
Yeah, you as well. Yeah, thank you.